And joining us now is Chaim Katzman. He's chairman of Gazit Globe, which is an international shopping center developer and the largest shareholder in Equity One. His company has more than $21 billion in assets under management. Thank you for coming in. Appreciate it. Why did this deal between Equity One and Regency make sense right now? What does it tell us about the values of shopping centers in the U.S.?
It tells you more about the need to consolidate, and where bigger is better. The combined entity would own more than 400 shopping centers in the core markets throughout the United States. Quality assets. It's really strip center, supermarket anchored shopping center. It's going to be one of its kind. It's going to be a must-own name, create more diversity, better pricing power, and a lot of synergies among these two companies. So bigger is better in that case.
And why is bigger and better right now in particular? Is it a relatively I mean, we know that, for example, the apparel, the department store environment is tough right now. What about in the specific retail subsector that you're
First of all, our asset class is somewhat protected from the internet. About more than 50% of our income comes from services that cannot be rendered on the internet. I mean, you cannot go to see a doctor on the internet, not yet at least. The grocery business, where only the penetration is only 2%. So we are much more e-commerce resistant than other industries. And the size that we have created here gives us better diversity, as I said, so de-risking each of those entities, gives us more access to more retailers, being able to give them a greater offering, create synergies due to economies of scale. It is, if you run across I-95 corridor in Florida, we have shopping centers on each exit. One is Regency's, one is Equity One, and so on. So it's got to be cheaper to manage them together, and so on and so forth, just more efficient.
Chaim, I'm in London, so I've got to ask you a European-centric question. You've got a solid presence in Europe: Germany, Russia, Estonia, Finland, Sweden. I looked on your website earlier. What's hot and what's not right now in Europe?
What's hot in Europe, I think, is the Nordic region, predominantly Sweden and Norway, Denmark, not so much Finland. In Central Europe, Poland and the Czech Republic are doing well. Germany is doing very well. We don't have any presence in Italy, so I cannot give you the news of the day as to the state of shopping centers over there. But generally speaking, in the markets that, and by the way, Russia is coming back, or at least the new normal is normal now, and there's no more bad news right now.
And you don't have a presence here in the UK. Does Brexit provide you with an entry opportunity? You've got the weak pound, you've got low rates, you've got what seemingly is a relatively strong economy. Could you be dipping your toes into the UK market?
It is conceivable. I would tell you that we paid a few visits and talked to people. My guts are telling me it's a bit too early. But in due course, I guess in the next couple of years, we believe that there might be an opportunity in England. England was notoriously expensive for many, many years. So this is the reason why we could not find a good entry point so far. But maybe it's changing.
Chaim, I want to ask you about the holiday shopping season. Obviously, the grocery food business is less variable, but certainly people shop for holiday meals and such. So what indications are you seeing about its strength versus last year?
It's robust. I mean, it's definitely stronger than last year. We don't have the exact numbers, but, and by the way, we see it all over the world. This is what's so interesting. It's not just in the U.S. It's the same. It's in Canada, and it's in Europe, and it's in Brazil. So we see more people shopping, and I'm sure that online shopping went up as well, but our footfall has increased quite dramatically, I would say, this holiday season so far.
And when you're looking at traffic, where are you seeing the traffic go? I mean, you've mentioned that you have grocery stores, there are doctors' offices in your strip centers as well. Where else are you seeing the traffic?
There are gyms and there are discounters, and you see a lot of traffic going to the discounters.
Chaim, if this is a lovely stat, and it came from you, if 70% of the global population are going to be living in cities by 2050, I mean, what does that mean for your business? What does it mean when you've got such a high volume of footfall? How is the industry going to have to adapt to that?
First of all, I think that the industry would have to adapt to e-commerce, because e-commerce is going to eat up a lot. I mean, you have a lot of dead inventory that people are not aware that it's dead already. If you look at the U.S. at the malls, look at the major department stores. This is inventory getting ready to come to the market and become a vacancy at some point. So it's either going to be repurposed into another form of retail or something else. It can become a lab, it can become a school, it can become many other things, can be demolished and become a residential spot. So I think that number one, there's going to be more redundancy. Number two, we as shopping center owners would have to put much more into the shopping experience, into the experience of coming to our shopping center. It's going to be more about entertainment. It's going to be much more about food, about people gathering. Not so much just about the shopping. Shopping will be somewhat incidental to the experience itself.
I've got to ask you about Brazil, Chaim, because last month you agreed to buy a stake in shopping Cidade Jardim. Excuse my pronunciation. It's one of the highest end. It's one of the highest end malls in Sao Paulo. Why is Brazil such an interesting bet for you? Does the economy, does the economic backdrop support that right now?
I think there are a few elements that people don't ignore but are not paying as much attention as they should when you talk about Brazil. Number one, Brazil is a true democracy. It went through a major impeachment process very peacefully, which tells you as to the strength of the democracy. Number two, rule of law improved dramatically in Brazil. People who were untouchable 2-3 years ago or been deemed untouchable, we all seen what happened in Brazil with the impeachment, with the indictment of Lula, and so on and so forth. So the rule of law is far better, and this is a growing economy. These are 200 million people with population growth of 1% per year. I mean, there are only 3 countries in the Western Hemisphere that are growing population-wise: Canada, the US, and Brazil. And in the end, that's what drives retail. That's the answer, I guess, in a nutshell. And Brazil has been going through a major recession, and everybody wrote it off. So this is apparently high time to buy.
All right, Chaim, we've got to leave it there. Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it. Chaim Katzman is Gazit Global founder and chairman. Mark.